Welcome, everybody. My name is Roxy Davis. I'm the CEO of Sally Ann Creed. And today we are here with Charlotte Haggie. We are very excited to have her on board. So welcome, Charlotte. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Charlotte is a health and well-being coach with a focus on health in a holistic way. She's also qualified as a personal trainer and a banting coach. So today we really are going to be looking at really our nutrition, our mental health, our movement, and looking at what well-being looks like in a holistic way. So Charlotte, we've got a list of questions for you, and we would love to really just hear your insight and your experience in terms of really body positivity, impact of stress on your body, the importance of movement and well-being, and just how we can better balance our physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being.
Fantastic.
So let's dive right in and talk about body positivity. This thing about body self-image and how we feel about ourselves. What is body positivity?
So I think before we even talk about what it means to have a positive image of our bodies, I think it's important to think about what is body image at all. And, we've heard this word or this kind of concept bandied around the place. But if we think about image, for me, is really a representation. When I was thinking about it the other day, we went to the shops with Oliver, who's 3, and we parked in the Mummy and Me parking bay. And he said, "Mummy, why doesn't that lady have any eyes?" And for me, that was kind of quite a nice way of looking at it, in that picture of the mummy and the pram was a representation of a mother and a child rather than an actual picture of a mother and a child. And I think our image then is also, or our body image, our idea of what we look like is actually a representation in our minds more than the real picture. So we have an image in our minds of what we look like. And then we have we make an evaluation of that image, whether it be positive, negative, or neutral. Some people don't have any feeling around what they look like. And so when we look at ourselves in the mirror, or even just in the way that we are, we evaluate that image that we have, and that image is evaluated against what we believe the ideal body image would be. And so it's different for everybody because it is just that, it's a representation of what we look like. So a negative body image then would be to be looking at ourselves and thinking negatively about what we look like. So there are 4 aspects to body image. There's the perceptual, what we see, and then what we feel about it, and then the kind of cognitive body image, what we think about what we see, and then the behavioral body image, how we behave as a result of that. And negative body image then is to see something and think and feel negatively about it, whether it be a particular body part or the body as a whole, and then feel uncomfortable in our bodies and then behave negatively as a result. Whereas positive body image doesn't necessarily say, "I love my body, I'm the most beautiful thing, aren't I amazing?" But actually saying, "I see my body for what it is, I can appreciate it, I can accept it. There are parts of it that I might not necessarily like, but I accept it and I respect it. And I'm, as a result, much more in tune with my body, so I can meet its needs better." So for me, body positivity and our relationship with our body is around knowing it and accepting it for the flaws that it does have, that we all have, and then being able to engage with it and relate with it on a level that we can know what makes it feel good, what makes it work, what makes it tick, and have a much better relationship with it than really just kind of being negative and derogatory towards it.
Can I ask, in your opinion, where does a negative body image stem from? I mean, is it something through childhood or adolescence, or is it something that somebody may have said along the way? We end up, especially women in their midlife, have carried with them a lot of baggage, and we feel like, geez, suddenly we're in this place where we don't have a positive body image. Where has that come from or stemmed from? And has it been a comment, somebody said something, or you looking in the mirror? Maybe just share a bit about that. How do we get to the point where we didn't have a positive body image? Because when we were babies, we were probably, running around carefree and naked and loved our bodies.
I was going to say, I mean, I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I look at them. I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to get them to wear warm clothes. But when they're naked, they have no perception that they shouldn't be. They think that they are beautiful. They don't even think about it. I mean, their body image, their relationship with their body, they can tell when they're full. They stop eating when they're full because they're not eating in response to how they feel about something. They're just eating because they were hungry. And so they are so in tune with their bodies and what their bodies need. They want to get out, they want to run, they want to move. And as we get older, exactly that, we hear messages from parents, from family members, from peers, from the media that tell us you should be a certain way. What's so interesting about this, and what I've loved researching, is how in different cultures, different things are more important. So for instance, in the East, a lot of the cultures there, big eyes are important. So if you don't have big eyes, you kind of feel bad about yourself. In a lot of the African cultures, actually being bigger and more overweight is seen as having more prospects. And so that's attractive. In our Western culture, being overweight, we've been told that it's not good to be overweight. We've also been told actually that we shouldn't really be happy, or that we shouldn't feel good. And, if you see somebody saying, I actually think I look great, you think, well, it's kind of seen as a negative. So we've heard these stories time and time again that have told us in different cultures what is acceptable, what is worthwhile, what is superior. And as a result, we have come to create in our mind's eye that ideal body image. And so there are some universal ideas of what we should look like. But I think if we looked culturally, we would see that in different cultures, different ideal body images are relevant. And we would all have different ideas of what we should look like, and how we should show up, how we should dress even, what color our hair should be, how it should look. And those are the stories that then help to create that idea that we have in our minds.
I find it very fascinating when you said, culture gives you this place where you have this ideal body in mind, and that's what you aspire to achieve, which essentially we're never going to all look the same and be the same. So we're setting ourselves up for failure, because regardless of how hard you get there, your tummy might never look like that, or your thighs might never end up that shape, because your body wasn't designed like that, which means essentially we've failed at achieving this, what is perceived in society as the best or the optimum body. And we haven't even started, and we've failed. So I can recognize that, because if I in my mind go back to that thought of what is the perfect body image that's our society has told me that I should look like, it's very different to what I look like today. And is today who I am and how I look, does that mean I have failed? No. So I can make that connection, because kind of thinking about that image and imagined in reality is just very different. And I think most women feel that. They feel like they never are going to achieve that ideal, and they never maybe could, and they never can. And that makes you feel like a failure, which you aren't, because you're not celebrating all the beauty and the wonder of these bodies that we're in. So I think my next question is, where does our body image come from then, essentially?
Yeah, so that's the kind of root of it, I think, is figuring out where that does come from. So when we coach, we use something called the integral map, and the integral map looks at what is happening under the iceberg and then what's happening above the iceberg. And what's happening under the iceberg is all of that stuff. So they're not to get too technical about it, but we look at something called the collective interior, which is where our cultural norms and values and ideas and beliefs, whether that be in our home life or in our Western culture, wherever we're living, school, those kind of collective norms. And then on the other side of it is called the individual interior, which then is our individual beliefs, specifically about ourselves. So they are, what's wonderful about the map is how it's incredibly interrelated. And how impacted are we by the collective norms into our individual ideas and beliefs, which then affect how we show up in the world. So then above the iceberg is the individual exterior. So how do I show up in the world? Do I cover myself up? Do I go swimming with my children? Because actually my belief is that family and engaging with my children is more important? Or do I sit on the banks of the pool or the dam or whatever, wrapped up in my towel, because my belief that everybody is going to think X, Y, and Z about me stops me from doing the things that I love doing? And so if we can start to look at what are the stories that I've heard that have kind of taught me what I should think and believe, then we can start to say, okay, what does that mean for how I then behave in the world?
I find it so fascinating how you said how I show up. And I can see that in so many women who have a family who love to, go swim in the ocean or swim at the pool, and their kids say, "Mom, come jump in." But the sheer terror of walking across the beach in maybe a costume to enter the water to enjoy the play and the love that the family would share actually just holds them back because of their thought of what may others around them think of them when they cross the beach. So it's a judgment of others to them. And most of the time, I think it's a perception that you have, because the person next door on the beach really doesn't care what you look like. Actually, they're just probably more focused on worrying about themselves and what other people are judging them to look like. So this whole thing of, it's very easy to say, get over yourself or get over how you show up. And I know there's a lot more to it, but I can definitely relate to how it holds us back, as moms or as wives or as just individuals with how we show up. And a lot of it, as you said, a lot of it is in our head. So how can our body image impact our health?
Well, that's the crux of it for me, is how it impacts actually our overall well-being. So if we think about a negative body image cycle, we would start with this negative thinking about ourselves. So looking at ourselves so if our body image is a perception of our physical selves, that perception and what we see, we then think about it negatively. And those negative thoughts then create negative feelings about ourselves and our value and our worth, which we relate back to our bodies. And that then creates negative behavior. So exactly that. We might not engage in family activities. So the impact on our social well-being or health is that we're not engaging with our children. We're not building those relationships, developing those relationships with our children, because they're over there swimming and we're sitting here. And they're thinking probably, why is mummy not coming to play with me? On our physical health, often you find that people don't do the things that they should be doing to be healthy, physically healthy, because their thoughts around their body are so negative that they either think, oh, why should I bother? Or, you know, to some really serious extremes, people won't go to the doctor because they're too embarrassed for the doctor to look at their bodies. And you find that women especially, but men too, end up getting really sick because they don't ever deal with the issue at hand at the beginning, because they're just too embarrassed to show their bodies to the doctor. So, I mean, physically, relationally, emotionally, we become unwell. It can cause depression, anxiety. As you say, you're sitting there thinking, oh, I don't want to show myself. And that creates anxiety. The stress of that is huge. You know, mental well-being is impacted. So the way that we think and look at our bodies can impact our overall well-being in every sphere negatively.
It's quite incredible, because we may have formed, you know, small habits in our lives or ways of doing and being, and we haven't really even unpacked why we do that and where it came from, so where it stemmed from. So even things as small as, I would say, you know, enjoying a family dinner together, sitting down as a family to eat. You might be so focused on your nutrition plan that everything has to be so perfect on your plate, but you're actually enjoying family dinner together, which is such a precious time in one's family. And as you say, your child might be thinking, you know, why is mom or dad, you know, not enjoying the family meal at the table, or why are they eating a different plate of food to what I am, and what is going on? And I think that also has underlying and additional knock-on effects for the family as well, which you don't even realize. Quite amazing. It's almost like when we scratch the surface, we're too afraid of what we may find, so we choose not to go there, which means we keep in the same habit loop of doing those same things, I guess, which essentially keep this negative body image or feelings about ourselves going. It's like this repetition. So once you kind of peel back the layers of the onion, you're so afraid of what you're going to find that you just don't start. Amazing. What is one thing we can do to change our body image? I think, you know, we can make grand changes and grand gestures, but really, essentially, it's about the small changes. So, you know, if you had to suggest just one thing that people could do today to start, what would that be?
I think that what people immediately think is, well, I need to look better. But changing the way your body looks doesn't necessarily change the image that you have in your head of your body. So, I mean, I could lose 10 kgs and still see the same image that I saw 10 kgs ago. So for me, and what I love to do in my work, is to help people become aware of what is the belief that I have about myself that has created this image. So what are the stories, when we go underneath that iceberg and look at what is the story that I have in my mind that makes that my image, so that we can recreate the image or choose how we see ourselves. So when I coach, the program that I use moves from kind of an unhealthy, or not necessarily an unhealthy, but a certain way of being that might include a negative body image, and so include negative behaviors, and look at, okay, so what is that? Growing an awareness of, first of all, what are the behaviors, and then why do we behave that way, so that we can then choose to behave a different way. So if I know why, and I can make changes to why I behave a certain way, I then have the option to, as you say, to say, well, does it really matter if I take my towel off and go and get in the pool with my children, or if I eat the same meal as them, or what do I need to do to explain to them why I'm eating something different? But just understanding why we behave a certain way already gives us the beginning steps towards making different choices for ourselves and for our families.
Absolutely. I mean, we've spoken about body positivity, and I know it's only one part of the program that you run as a coach. Maybe share with us a bit more about your program and what you do, and just essentially how it works.
So I have kind of two separate lines, I suppose, because they're working all along health and well-being, but in kind of different areas. So individual well-being is really one-on-one coaching with people who are struggling with some kind of health issues. So it might be around something like this, around the way that I feel about myself, and so the way that I behave, or I can't seem to manage my weight properly. What is happening that I'm trying really hard and I can't manage my weight, or I'm trying really hard and I just can't eat the way I know that I should. So whether it be around weight gain or around a diagnosis of diabetes, for instance, how do I change my behavior so that I can look after my body and deal with my diabetes so that it doesn't get worse? Or I can't help myself shouting at my children. That's social health for me. What is the implication of my reaction to my children? So looking at all areas of well-being and moving through, as I said at the beginning, the first step is around awareness. Why am I behaving the way that I am? What are the underlying beliefs and values and things? And then looking at, okay, what are the choices for how I could do things differently? And then working on, okay, well, let's implement those choices and then tweak what we need to in order to make it work better if it's not working. And then the last step of a program would be to look at, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to accept that I actually just have no control over, to get to a point that we develop a sustainable, healthy lifestyle? Because I think people often run in all guns blazing, last a few weeks, and then, this is not right for me. So figuring out what are the choices that are right for an individual or a family, and then building towards those. So that's kind of on an individual coaching level. And around that, I ran, for instance, on Saturday, I ran a body positivity workshop, which exactly what we've been talking about now, working with people for a day around this, various activities and ideas on how we can help people to change their mindsets and their thoughts. So workshops and speaking on a private level as well. And then on the corporate side, working within corporates to help people engage healthily within the workplace. How can we help corporates to develop a value of well-being within their workplace? And that might be one-on-one coaching for employees or for team members, team coaching. How do we get teams to work together healthily and engage with each other healthily? And then also topic-specific workshops within corporates, or process-based workshops. So helping teams to figure out why something might not be working, or why a team might be unhealthy, and taking them to a more healthy level so that people can perform better. And for me, it's about living and performing to our best, whether it be in our personal lives or at work. How can we get the best out of our people? How can we get the best out of ourselves so that we can, as you say, we can show up as the people that we kind of know we are in every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. What would you say? I mean, people hear about body positivity and needing to make changes, but sometimes there's something in their minds that are holding them back from taking that first step or taking a small step in the right direction. What would you say to somebody who's listening to this message, to say, this is the thing in my mind, I know that I need to change or to make a first step in, but I'm being held back? I'm too afraid to peel back the layers of that onion, or I'm too afraid at what I may find. I'm more comfortable in this this feeling of, discomfort than actually moving forward. How would you encourage somebody, or what would you say to add one tool to their toolkit in making that first change?
I think that often it looks like this huge mountain. How am I ever going to get over this? And also, I think a lot of people, like, as you say, there's a comfortable discomfort here. I know this is safe. I've lived like this. I mean, I'm 39 years old. I've lived like this for 39 years. It's not comfortable. I'm not enjoying it really, but I just don't know what's on the other side of not being like this. What's on the other end of peeling open that onion? And for me, what was on the other side of it was freedom. And the work that I've done, and the reason that I do what I do and I love what I do, is because I've been through it myself. And the freedom, for the first time in December, we went away on holiday, and I had my daughter. I was breastfeeding. Breastfeeding was not my friend, and I was not feeling my best. But I'll never forget the moment where I got up. And the reason I spoke earlier about the banks of the dam was because that's what's in my mind. I got up off the banks of the dam. It was boiling hot, and I got in the water with my children, and I didn't think about what everyone else was thinking. And I just thought, here is the freedom that comes with doing the work. And so if you can find a safe space that you feel comfortable in, we do, as coaches, we do what we call chemistry sessions. So a 30-minute chemistry session. Come and spend 30 minutes with me. It's free, to find out if you feel safe enough to do this work. Because you do need to feel safe. You need to feel comfortable and at ease. And that's what I hope to provide people with, is a space where they can come and do the work. And it's a process. It's not going to be a quick fix. I think that a lot of people are looking for a quick fix because it is scary. And we also, the time that it takes. But this is part of our health, is actually, we speak so much about self-care. And for me, this is so much about self-care. Absolutely go for a massage and do the other things, but getting to know yourself and why you feel or think or behave the way you do, so that you can make the changes that you want to, is invaluable, I feel.
I love what you shared about, what is the one thing to look forward to? So you're kind of looking down in this place of being stuck, and you're there. But when you look ahead, you could have this, freedom is what lies ahead. And that is such a powerful motivator, that weight off your shoulders, that lightness of breath, and that freedom to just let it all go. I loved what you shared about the getting off the banks of the dam. And it really just gave me goosebumps, because so many people are in that situation where they're feeling that feeling, and to look ahead and know that there is freedom that lies ahead is very exciting. I loved what you shared about the chemistry session, because I think it's also so important. People are saying, I'm investing in my health and my well-being. And it is a big investment in terms of the commitment of one's time and the journey that they're going on. And journeying with a coach or a mentor or a guide is so important, because navigating this journey on your own, if we could have done it, we would have maybe done it on our own by now. And the chemistry session just gives you that opportunity to see whether the guide that you want to journey with is the one for you. And where you say it is a free 30-minute session where there's no obligation, either party could walk away. It's nice to know that is a good first step towards freedom. And it's a decision that one can make for themselves about their health and their well-being and their future. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing on body positivity and sharing about your journey. It is really fantastic to know what lies ahead, and the freedom that is there for those who are willing to take the steps. So thank you so much for your time today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.